Shalom. I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. I want to give double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, men I learned this truth from. I want to say peace, mercy, and blessings to all the hopeful elect. The true name of the Heavenly Father is Yahweh, which means He exists, that He is to be. The true name of the Son is Yahushai, which means He is the deliverer. We are the Hebrew Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, Latins, Hispanics. We those people that make up the lost 12 tribes of Israel. The self-proclaimed white man, Caucasians, self-proclaimed, Europeans, all right? According to the Bible prophecy, they are the children of Esau, Idumea, all right? The scripture says Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of that follow it, all right? And Jacob's name was changed into Israel. So we are in the last days of Esau's evil empire, his kingdom, where all the things that are written are getting ready to be fulfilled. So this is an article from naturalnews.com. It says Russia and Iran forge 20-year defense and energy pact challenging Western influence. So you have the other nations, the West is dealing with Babylon the Great, the whore, all right, under Satan's authority. So you gotta understand. Excuse me, but you have Russia and Iran, which these are two very key, major, important players in prophecy. And just before, which this article was published January 20th, all right, but just a few days before President 47 Donald J. Trump was, inaugurated or put in office, you had these two you had these two nations forming a 20-year defense and energy pact. All right. So it says Russian President Vladimir Putin and Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian signed a 20-year comprehensive strategic partnership treaty on January 17, solidifying military, economic, and energy ties to counterbalance Western influence. So this ties in with, the weak saying I'm strong, because now you have alliances being formed. Okay, alliances are being made. There's wars and rumors of wars. You have different nations allying themselves to counterbalance Western influence. All right. It says the pact aims to reduce reliance on Western financial systems by linking national payment systems with over 95% of bilateral trade conducted in Russian rubles and Iranian rials, addressing sanctions imposed upon both nations. So you have the West putting sanctions on these nations, and what these sanctions do is they cripple the economy. Okay. Says sanctions, a threatened penalty for disobeying a law or rule. A range of sanctions aimed at deterring insider abuse. It says impose a sanction or penalty on foreigners in France illegally should be sent home. The employer's sanction and border controls tighten up. So this is what the West does with its military prowess. It puts sanctions on these nations, and these sanctions cripple the economy of the other nations. All right, but what it's been causing the development or the creation of, BRICS nations. Which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, but they're adding other nations to it, It says, is BRICS a threat to the U.S. dollar? BRICS expansion into payment systems poses threat to dominance of the U.S. dollar, because the U.S. dollar is supposed to be the top currency, with the Federal Reserve note on the planet. The recent expansion and shifting objectives of the BRICS bloc suggest an escalating rivalry between its members and Western liberal economies, and a potential threat to the status of the dollar within international trade. You know, all right. So back in the article, actually it says addressing sanctions imposed on both nations. So I just Googled how U.S. sanctions affected Iran and Russia. This is from usstate.gov. Okay, they took that page down. From U.S. Department of Treasury. Treasury sanctions entities in Iran and Russia that attempted to interfere in the U.S. 2024 elections. Washington today, the Department of Treasury's Office of Foreign Asset Control is designating a subordinate organization of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and a Moscow-based affiliate organization of the Russian Main Intelligence Directorate and its director pursuant to Executive Order 13848, the U.S. Election Interference Authority, as affiliates of the IRGC and GRU. These actors aim to stoke socio-political tension and influence the U.S. electorate during the 2024 U.S. election. Today's actions build on sanctions previously imposed on the IRGC and the GRU and their numerous subordinate and proxy organizations, pursuant to several authorities, targeting the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction and malicious cyber-enabled activities. The governments of Iran and Russia have targeted our election processes and institutions and sought to divide the Babylonian people through targeted disinformation campaigns, said acting Undersecretary of Treasury for Tea and Financial Intelligence. The U.S. will remain vigilant against adversaries who would undermine our democracy. So supposedly there have been some ads, news clips that have been aimed at pretty much affecting, the electoral vote. And for that, they put more sanctions on these countries. So to counteract that, you got Russia and Iran coming together for a 20-year defense and energy pact, okay, which lines up with prophecy of Ezekiel 38, when it speaks about Persia, Gog and Magog, be thou a guard unto them. All right, so back in the article, the treaty emphasizes defense cooperation, including the use of Iranian-made drones in Russia's war in Ukraine, and the establishment of a drone production facility in Russia, though it lacks a mutual defense clause. The agreement reflects Russia and Iran's shared goal of challenging Western dominance, with Russia also strengthening ties with U.S. adversarial nations like North Korea and Belarus. Okay, so pretty much what the bear, Gog and Magog is doing is that all these other nations who have hostility, or any issues with the West, they're aligning themselves with the bear, right, who is Russia. While the treaty strengthens Iran's position amid economic and regional challenges, Russia must balance its relationship with other Middle Eastern powers like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, complicating its role as a regional mediator, right? And a move that underscores their shared defiance of Western sanctions and geopolitical isolation. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian signed a sweeping 20-year strategic partnership treaty on Friday 17th at the Kremlin. The agreement, dubbed the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership Treaty, solidifies military, economic, and energy ties between the two nations, marking a significant escalation in their efforts to counterbalance U.S. and European influence. Signed just 3 days before the inauguration of President Donald Trump, the pact signals Moscow and Tehran's intent to deepen their alliance amid ongoing conflicts in Ukraine and the Middle East. The treaty, which covers defense, counter T, energy finance, and cultural cooperation is being hailed by both leaders as a real breakthrough that will foster regional stability and economic growth. However, Western analysts warn that the agreement could further destabilize global security, particularly as Russia and Iran continue to collaborate on military technologies, including drones and ballistic missiles. All right, so let me get that prophecy here. This is Jeremiah chapter 50, and I will start at 22. It says, the sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction, because ultimately these nations are going to be gathered to the valley of Jehoshaphat or Jehoshaphat for the war of Armageddon. All right, they're going to be gathered to the Middle East, which Jehoshaphat, the way you would say that in the Hebrew is Jehoshaphat, which means Yahweh's judgment. So the nations are going to be gathered there for World War III, the third war that coming quickly, and that's what the nations are ultimately going to be judged at, you know. Armageddon, I believe the Hebrew word that's Hamagadwan, which means mountain of troops. Okay, so that's ultimately what this is leading up to. This is AI overview. The Valley of Armageddon is the Jezreel Valley, a fertile plain in Israel where the Bible says the final battle between good and evil will take place. The valley is also known as the Valley of Megiddo. Right? This is back in Jeremiah 50 and 22. A sound of battles in the land and of great destruction. And before the third woe, inside of Babylon the Great, you're going to have battle. You're going to have great destruction. You're going to have fires. You're going to have Egyptian against Egyptian. You're going to have martial law. All right? You're going to have, foreign troops invading, causing more T attacks. Okay? 23. How is the hammer of the whole earth caught asunder and broken? So that proves that Babylon is being that hammer of the earth, going around putting sanctions on nations, going around putting U.S. embassies and consulates amongst the other nations, setting up puppet leaders, economic hitmen, jackals to overthrow the economy and to take all the natural resources of these different lands, countries, and nations, and put their own puppet leaders in office to do the bidding of the elites. That's Esau being the hammer of the earth. Okay? How is the hammer of the whole earth caught asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? So that's what's getting ready to happen. Most Most is getting ready to bring Babylon to its knees, even though they just put, Mr. the 47th in there, and people think that he's going to MAGA. I'll just say it like that. People think he's going to MAGA. The scripture does say when that shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction is going to come upon them. All right? Because in all actuality, there's no way he can make this place great again. He can't undo the damage that Biden and the Democrats have done. And a move that underscores their shared defiance of Western sanctions of geopolitical isolation. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Iranian President Mossad Pezeshkian signed a sweeping 20-year strategic partnership treaty on January 17 at the Kremlin. The agreement, dubbed the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership Treaty, solidifies military, economic, and energy ties between the two nations, marking a significant escalation in their efforts to counterbalance the U.S. and European influence. Signed just 3 days before inauguration of the 47th, the pact signals Moscow and Tehran's intent to deepen their alliance amid ongoing conflicts in Ukraine and the Middle East. All right. We jump down. A strategic alliance against Western sanctions. The partnership between Russia and Iran is not new, but the 20-year pact formalizes and expands their cooperation in unprecedented ways. Both nations have faced crippling U.S. and European Union sanctions. That's what these sanctions do. All right, they're crippling the economies of these nations. They cause inflation. But now with these nations banding together in the form of the BRICS nations, even though they might be battling with a little inflation, they're still doing just fine. In most cases, the people of these nations are way better off. They're doing way better than the people of the West. When you look at the food, the housing, the ways governments treats its citizens, which is why with this whole, when TikTok went dark for those hours, people bugged out. They downloaded Red Note, which is a Chinese-based app similar to TikTok, and they saw they were living over there. People got pissed off because they've been told one thing, but yet they're finding out it's all a lie. Government goes back to compound word, meaning mind control. It says Russia's forced invasion of Ukraine and Iran for its nuclear program in support of militant groups in the Middle East. The treaty aims to reduce their reliance on the Western financial systems by linking their national payment systems with over 95% of bilateral trade already conducted in Russian rubles and Iranian rials. Our countries firmly uphold the principles of the supremacy of international law, the sovereignty of states, and non-interference in the internal affairs of other countries, Putin declared during a joint press conference with Pezeshkian. The Iranian president echoed this sentiment, calling this treaty a new chapter of strategic relations that will enhance trade and security cooperation. The defense component of the agreement is particularly significant. Russia has relied heavily on Iranian-made Shahid kamikaze drones in its war against Ukraine, and Tehran has reportedly established a major drone production facility on Russian soil. While the treaty does not include a mutual defense clause, it commits both nations to refrain from aiding any aggressor against the other. All right? It's another article. Russia sends powerful vaunted missile systems to Iran for Middle East war. Okay, and this is back from August 9th, 2024. Okay, so just showing you that these nations are pretty much clicked up, okay, and they're getting ready for war, all right, because we're not in a time of peace, This is 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 3. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So, as a woman with child, your travail comes when the water breaks, the contractions start hitting, and the child gets closer and closer to being born. That woman is sorrow come upon her. All right, like I said in Genesis, and in sorrow shalt thou bring forth children. So that's a very sorrowful, painful time, and it's not something she can escape. She has to go through it until the child is born. So all these birth pains upon the earth. Different parts of the earth gonna hit with nukes. These things must come, and it's not gonna be any escape. Babylon won't escape the destruction. Even putting this guy in office, actually bringing about Jacob's trouble, and starting with the northern kingdom, with the whole deportation. Now people being sent back. Now I was just saying, you might as well deport yourself or face pretty much a 20-year ban. So we're definitely in some very heavy times. What else do I wanted to go into? It's Ezekiel 38. It says, "And the word of Yahweh Shem Yahushua came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesied against him. So this is the Bible Hub, right? It's a great, study tool. You hit study here. Wait, let me go back. Yeah, I found it earlier. Lock it, bear with me. Okay, there it goes. So this is First Chronicles 1 and 5. KJV. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus. Right, because when you go to Ezekiel 38, verse 1, it says, "And the word of Yahweh Shem Yahushua came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him." So when you go into the history of that goes into the sons of Japheth, right? So you hit study. It says the sons of Japheth, which Japheth goes into the Hebrew word Yapah, which means beautiful. It says Japheth is one of the three sons of Noah, and his descendants are traditionally associated with the people of Europe and parts of Asia. The genealogies in 1 Chronicles 1 and Genesis 10 are often referred to as the Table of Nations, which outlines the origins of various ethnic groups after the flood. Japheth's lineage is significant in understanding the spread of humanity and the fulfillment of God's command to fill the earth. Gomer is often linked to the Sumerians, an ancient people who lived in what is now southern Russia and Ukraine. They are mentioned in the Assyrian records and are believed to have migrated into parts of Europe. Gomer's descendants are thought to have settled in regions that later became known as Galatia, possibly Germany. This connection is supported by historical and linguistic studies, right? So we deal with Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, is dealing with that landmass. It just, why some people might say Esau's Japheth, because he in the land of where Japheth used to possess in the ancient world, but Japheth is not in that land. All right, the majority of people in that land is Israel scattered all over. Right, you have other heathen nations, Ishmael, Asher, the Persians, the Elamites, and mainly Esau. But Japheth is not in that land right now. Right? It says Magog is frequently associated with the Scythians, a nomadic group known for their skills in horseback riding and archery. The inhabited areas north of the Black Sea in biblical prophecy. Magog is mentioned in Ezekiel 38 and 39 as a nation that will rise against Israel in the end times, right, dealing with the Ish people. All right, now Gog and Magog, Russia, all right? They're the rise against the Ish people, all right? Because that's what the Lord wants. He's going to bring them down there, all right? Because God can set up as a guard unto those nations. Okay, they just enter a 20-year treaty, right? Often interpreted as a symbol of future opposition to Most High's people. Madai is identified with the Medes, an ancient Iranian people, Persians, right, who lived in the region that is now northwestern Iran. The Medes played a significant role in the downfall of the Assyrian Empire and later formed a coalition with the Persians, right? This historical context is crucial for understanding the geopolitical landscape during the time of the Old Testament. Actually, I think that's going off because Persia was changed to Iran in 1935. It says in 1935, the country of Persia was officially renamed Iran. Okay, so Persia is Iran, right? Javan is traditionally associated with the Greeks, so that proves that the first Greeks were a people of color, all right? When Esau got in the power up there, just like he did with the Romans, all right? Javan is traditionally associated with the Greeks. The name of Javan is related to the Hebrew word for Greece, Yavan. The descendants of Yavan are believed to have settled in the Aegean region, including the islands and mainlands of Greece. This connection is significant in understanding the spread of Hellenistic culture and its influence on the ancient world, which we know Alexander the Great is an Edomite, and they say civilization started with the Greeks, or the first Greeks were actually a Japhetic peoples. But then you had Esau up in there, then you had a lot of Israelites willingly, perform epispasms, which is a reverse circumcision. They did things to make themselves fit in with the Greeks, so our people became Greeks too. Tubal is often linked to the Tabali, an ancient people who lived in what is now central Turkey. So now you can actually Google Russia, China, Turkey. Russia, Iran, Turkey. And that's the three leaders right there. Okay, and this is what is spoken about in Ezekiel 38. It says Tubal is often linked to the Tabali, an ancient people who lived in what is now central Turkey. They are mentioned in Assyrian records and were well known for their metalworking skills. Tubal's descendants are thought to have played a role in the trade networks of the ancient Near East, contributing to the spread of technology and culture. Meshech is often associated with Mushki, an ancient people who lived in the region of modern-day Turkey. They are mentioned in Assyrian and Hittite records. Meshech, along with Tubal, is also mentioned in Ezekiel 38:39 as part of the coalition against the Ish, symbolizing future opposition to the Most High's kingdom, really against Amalek, all right? Because Amalek is over there trying to perform the greater pact of the Holy Land, and they're putting the G word on these people. It says relations soured after the 2023 Hamas-led attack on Ish, Turkey condemning the Holy Land and condoning Hamas. On November 13, 2024, Erdogan announced that Turkey was severing all its diplomatic relations with the Holy Land due to their reluctance to end the war in Gaza. So all ties over there with the Amalek, all right, they're breaking them. They're cutting them off, and they're forming strong alliances with Gog and Magog. So I'll read this from the top again. Ezekiel 38:1. And the word of Yahweh Shem El Shai came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And say, Thus said the Lord of power, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. And I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling a sword. So Yahweh Shem Yahushua is controlling the hearts and minds of these different leaders. This is Proverbs 21, verse 1. The king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So the Most High it's in control of the hearts of these leaders. He turneth it whithersoever he will. The Most High Yahweh Shem Yahushua is making these alliances so that they can fulfill prophecies. He strengthened their military ties, their army, their weaponry, all right, their arsenal, their nuclear capability, all right. So it's Persia, which we just read in 1935, all right. It got changed from Persia to Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet, so they all gonna be strapped, armed to the teeth. Okay. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Torgamar, so that's Turkey. That's Turkey right there. Of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare thyself, and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So that's the prophecy, man. We see how that prophecy is being fulfilled of Gog and Magog becoming a guard unto these other nations, with alliances being formed, all right, and they're allying themselves against the West, okay, and these different alliances, they're going to fight, okay, and the major part of the prophecy of them fighting is going to be the Holy Land, all right, the Ish people over there. It's Jeremiah 15:45. Therefore hear the word, the counsel of Yahweh Shem Yahushua they had taken against Babylon and its purposes that it proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. So the Holy Land is going to draw out the West. All right, because the West and the Holy Land, big Satan and little Satan, so you can understand, they're allies. And the people that are in the Middle East surrounding little Satan, they're getting ready to jump her ass. Okay, so the West is going to have to get involved, and this is going to draw out the least of the flock. Okay. This is from Financial Times, 13 hours ago. All right. Donald Trump signals strong pro-blank stance by lifting West Bank sanctions. The U.S. president withdraws measures against extremist settlers, even as dozens attack Palestinian village. Donald Trump canceled Biden-era sanctions on violent extremists in the occupied West Bank, signing the executive order, even as dozens of settlers rampage through a village, torching cars and homes to protest against the ceasefire. The lifting of sanctions is a sign that Trump plans to take a strong pro-blank stance in the Middle East. Okay, so we see how these two nations are allies, so that's the least of the flock. The Most High is going to put the spirit to draw them out. All right. Jeremiah 15:45. Therefore hear the word of the counsel of Yahweh Shem Yahushua they taken against Babylon and its purposes that it proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them, because both of these lands are going to be destroyed with nukes. And in the midst of them destroying each other, Yahweh is going to let Yahushua return and destroy them and deliver his elect. So with that, I pray this has been edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Say shalom to